tonight's talk is going to be how to rejuvenate your headphones.
Okay, well, we're going to...
Oh, you're not ready for that?
One more thing.
Okay.
All right, any other business concerns from the gentleman? Here.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
The talk tonight is going to be how to rejuvenate your headphones, and Gary D'Amico and myself will be giving it. Hopefully a lot of you have old battery type sets and listen to them on headphones. And if you do, you've occasionally run into problems with your headphones, either ones that you bought at a flea market or ones that you found kicking around in your shop and they just don't do the job. Well, the first thing you have to do with your headphones, and we can hand these out. First thing you have to do when you get headphones is find out what kind of shape they're in, and you can't always tell that just from looking at them. Obviously, if the cord is missing or torn, that's your first problem to deal with. The phones themselves are all pretty standard. They're about 1,000 ohms DC resistance per phone. So that means that since they're wired in series, one headset consisting of two phones should be about 2,000 ohms. In the handout, you'll see on the front there's the basic wiring layout of how they're wired in series and how that relates to the connections on the radio as far as B+. Take the cover off the headphones and examine them internally for corrosion. See how flat the diaphragm is, the metal disc that's attracted to the field magnet. And there's a list on the end of several vendors who can supply parts for restoring phones, or if you want to buy phones, they also sell complete headphones. So the phones are wired in series and they have to have a certain relationship in the wiring, which is shown in order for them to work properly. If you have an ohm meter, you can check the cord, make sure that it has continuity and that it's not intermittent. If it is, you can either make a phone wired like this, a phone cord out of modern materials, or you can send to one of those companies on the back and they'll send you an original type phone cord, either with pins on the end or lugs. Next thing you have to do is check the strength of the magnets just by unscrewing the cover and seeing how strong the magnet attracts the diaphragm. And a good test for that is to take the headphone and see if you can hold the diaphragm edgewise on the magnet. So you would check it this way, just lifting it up, and if you feel some sort of attraction, but it's not, you have questions about it, try seeing if it'll hold it, suspend its weight this way. If it does, then the phones will probably work fairly well without any more attention. Obviously, if you check the continuity of the phone and it's open, and you don't see anything obvious inside, such as a corroded terminal or a broken lead, then you have a pretty serious problem, and I don't think it's worthwhile trying to rewind these coils, because something like somewhere between number 40 and 50 gauge wire, which is very, very fine. So assume that you go to rejuvenate your phones and you find that the magnets are weak. Well, you have to strengthen the magnet so that the phones will work properly. And there's two techniques that you can use. There's probably more than two techniques, but the two that we'll be addressing tonight are using another strong magnet to rejuvenate the magnet in the phone, and also using a homemade electromagnet to induce a strong field into the magnets in the phone. You can obtain permanent magnets that will do a pretty decent job at rejuvenating the magnets inside the phone without disassembling it. Basically what you have is two horseshoe magnets in the bottom of the phone that are installed so that they're north poles are together and their south poles are together. So you can think of it as kind of an unfolded horseshoe magnet facing itself. And they're bound to the bottom of the case, and then there are field pieces that go across from that up to the center of the winding. Now, these have been demagnetized to show you what can be done. First thing you have to do on your earphones is to find out the magnetic identity of the magnets that are in here. Even if they're fairly weak, they'll still have enough magnetism to deflect the compass needle. So this is your diagnostic tool. And consider the fact that the end of the compass that indicates to north is in reality the south pole of this little magnet. So, because one thing you have to remember the whole time is that like poles repel and unlike poles attract. So that's the key that you can use to determine what you've got here. And so you have to identify the north and south pole of your earphone and mark it with a pencil, something that you can rub off when you're done. And if you choose, you can mark it inside with something more permanent. So you have to find out which is the north pole. Go to Radio Shack, where if you have an extensive collection of magnets, find a horseshoe magnet that will bridge the two pole pieces. Now these I got at Radio Shack for $1 a piece, and they're just about ideal for this application. And when you use your compass and find out which is the north and south pole on each magnet, and in this case it's the face of each magnet. It's not the end as you might suspect. Mark it with a magic marker so that you can keep track of it. And then you find the north pole on this magnet and put the south pole, put them together like this and they'll stick together. So you have a south and a north. Put the south pole on top of the opposite polarity here and just rub it across 10 times or whatever you feel like doing. I think there's a point of diminishing returns. I'm not counting. I don't know if you are. 10. Thanks. 30. And you can see that there's a noticeable remagnification. And we'll pass, if I hold still, it will pass the rudimentary test for remagnetizing. So obviously that is a lot stronger than it was in the beginning. And you can experiment with how many applications of the permanent magnets is required to do that. And then basically if you have continuous windings and you reestablish the magnetic strength of permanent magnets and the diaphragm is flat, then basically this is ready to go with the addition of some headphone cords. Then there's another way that you can do this. It is not quite as simple, but makes an even stronger magnet. And Gary will demonstrate this a little more exciting technique. Sparks? Sparks.
Oh, there's a couple of ways to do this. But the easiest way is get a battery that can deliver a lot of current. So we just happen to have gel cells. And this coil is about, I don't know, maybe 30 turns per number 18. And I have another way I'd like to do this too. I like to charge up a large value of C, several hundred volts. It works very well, spectacular sparks, but I didn't bring that with me here tonight. This works very well. You've got to orientate the coil into the field so you're magnetizing it in the right direction. So we checked these already. Using the compass, you've got to energize the coil and find the right polarity. This is marked plus, and this is going to be positive from the north pole. And oh, this will jump, yeah. This works relatively well. Delivers a lot of current. It's probably a 100 milliohm coil, so it can draw a lot of current depending on the size of the battery it has.
Is that move?
Okay.
How's that watch doing, Tom?
I'll let you know in a minute.
The compass is moving, it's on the other side of the table.
You may never see that.
This works real well.
Can you pick up a quarter with it?
No, I'll tell you what, we measured these full amount of work. The sensitivity doesn't make that much difference between rubbing the magnet and the electromagnet. Even with a maybe 50 to 75 Gauss difference, doesn't make that much difference. So I think this is the preferred way. It's cheap, it works real well. But if you want to have some fun, I prefer the high voltage myself, but and I think we started this, we bought a box of like 20 or 30 headphones, going through them, finding them, and a lot of them demagnetized. These diaphragms, if they're bent, a lot of them are also magnetized a little bit, so feel the difference between each pole. And it's not that the strength is different. If you flip it over, you feel the same strength on the other side. I wondered that myself, and they're slightly magnetized. And I think that's it.
Yeah, the one thing that you should keep in mind is you're using two different techniques for strengthening the magnets. And in one case, you're using, if you want to make this side into a north pole, you need a south pole to make that into a north pole. When you're doing it with the electromagnet and you're inducing it, you put them together, north to north. So it's sort of a little confusing. But if you think about it and do a little testing with your compass, you'll see that that's really the way it works. I've dealt with both of these companies on the last page, and I find them very easy to deal with. For instance, the replacement cords are, from one company, they're about $3 a set. From the other one, they're about $4.75, which is really cheap. And they both will sell diaphragms. Modern Radio Labs, you give them the diameter and they'll hand cut them to any size you want. And also, although I didn't have a chance to try this out, I think the same approach could be used for the drivers on horn speakers. There's no reason why this shouldn't work just as well for a horn speaker driver that's demagnetized. Some phones may have a little different geometry, but if you get the basic gist of what we're telling you here, you should be able to adapt it and rejuvenate any magnet on any driver or headphone. That's about it.
One more thing, sometimes you have the speakers that have the horseshoe magnets in there, a lot of times they're dead. I just took this coil, put it down the center, put a pole piece on it, and zapped it, and it came back fine. It worked quite well, so you don't have to have it. Two continuous windings on here, I just put it in the center, and it came back very strong.
One more thing.
Absolutely.
If there's a great deal of enthusiasm for doing this, we can do a workshop and you can bring your phones in. We'll charge up some gel cells and rejuvenate phones. Depends. Check your phones. If there's enough of you that have dead phones, do that.
Sir?
I'd just like to say, if you have trouble with the phone cord, you don't try to repair them. They're impossible.
No, I didn't even mention that because I've
They're
seen.
made with little tinsel wire,
Yeah.
and when I was in the Navy, I had about 6 pair of headphones that were intermittent. They were all the cords were all the size. And I tried to repair them, I couldn't repair them. Finally, we pulled alongside a destroyer, and I got some new phone cords.
One thing, if you buy a new phone cord for your phones, you'll see on some sets there's a little pigtail on each end that's just cloth. That's very important. It's a strain relief for the cord. You should attach that to the headphone in a way. I'm not sure exactly if all phones have an anchor on the back, but figure out a way to strain relieve the cord so that if you should get up without taking your phones off, it doesn't just pop the tinsel inside the phone. Sure.
There is a way to fix that tinsel wire. Strip it back a little, and take some of the super fine copper wire that comes out of a piece of zip cord,
wrap the tinsel tightly with stop with them, and now you can solder it.
Well,
That's it.
I tried that with the ones I had where it got in so many places that they, yeah, it wasn't just one open. It was-
Anybody have any more questions or comments?
You can make a hell of a magnet charger also. You take a coil, probably with more turns than you have, put a diode, fairly good sized diode, and then just take like one strand of wire. And what happens if you put it in series, you put it all in series, and you plug it in, what happens is it'll say go conduct on a positive half cycle and the wire will blow. So you'll end up with a humongous magnetic pulse. Right, we used to do that in high school. We had a magnet
Yeah, that's something everybody has to know. Don't use AC, you gotta use DC.
Yeah, there were a few ideas that Gary has tried that we discussed, but we thought that might not be good to recommend people to do at home because of certain medical and legal problems that might arise. Yeah.
How about using the actual headphone coil itself? Passing a DC
No,
in
it's
the-
too fine a wire. It's like I say,
get
number
a car.
40 to 50 gauge, and it's only designed to take a couple of mils, and it would just go
Fuse.
woof.
It'd
That
be
would
just
be it.
one big long fuse. If anybody's interested, I have number 46 gauge wire that was made back in 1924. I have new old stock.
You can't work them over.
Selling by the mile?
You try to work them over.
Miles?